In the middle of a large and modern city stood a famous museum. Its glass fronts sparkled under the light. Its wide marble halls held some of the rarest treasures from around the world. Visitors walked through its tall doors every day, taking photos and admiring priceless art. But among the displays, one stood out, the painting known as the Eternal Sky. It showed a golden hill rising under a wide, soft blue. Though simple, the colors felt alive. The painting was over 300 years old. Experts call it perfect, which was worth millions and was protected behind a bulletproof glass case surrounded by motion detectors, laser grids, and hidden heat sensors. Guards stood nearby. Cameras watched it day and night. It was called unstealable. The museum's manager, Mr. Collins, had worked there over a decade. He knew the building better than anyone. Every morning, he arrived early, nodded at the guards, and walked to the silent halls with a cup of strong coffee in his hand. That morning began no differently. Everything was quiet. Nothing seemed out of place until he reached the main gallery. There, in the center of the room, something was gone. The display glass stood clean and untouched, but the painting inside was gone. Instead, there was a single white card lying flat on the pedestal. It looked brand new, perfectly placed. Printed neatly on the card were three words: Phantom was here. Collins froze. The cup in his hand slipped and hit the floor. Coffee spread across the tiles. Panic followed. Alarms were triggered. Guards rushed in. The museum was locked down. Doors sealed. Staffs were questioned. But there was no broken locks, no signs of forced entry, and no security alert has gone off. The theft reached the police within an hour, and by noon, one of the city's most clever investigators, Officer Ryan, arrived at the scene. Knowing to solving difficult crimes, Ryan didn't speak much, but he noticed everything. While others stared at this empty case in shock, Ryan walked around slowly, studying every corner, every shadow, every space in the room. He checked the floor, clean, no footprints. Then the walls, nothing out of place. But when he looked up, the ceiling above the display, he saw something strange. A small ceiling vent, high above the painting's usual spot, had its screws slightly marked. They had been turned recently, not fully removed, just disturbed. Ryan asked for a ladder. He climbed up and gently removed the vent cover. Inside, he found a small piece of black rope, thin, strong, and heat resistant. Not something common. It was the type used by climbers, meant to handle pressure, heat, and tension. This tiny clue changed everything. The theft hadn't entered through doors or windows. He had come from above. Ryan went through the museum's old blueprints and maps. One forgotten age shaft ran from the ceiling vent all the way to in a sealed chimney above the old cave section, a vertical tunnel no one used anymore. It had once connected to maintenance paths, but had been locked off years ago. Ryan and Mr. Collins walked quietly through an old service hallway. They reached the base of the chimney, a dark metal door marked staff only. Inside was cold air, dust, and silence. The narrow shaft had crack marks on its inner walls from something climbing up and down. Around the side wall, near the base, was a small sticker, clean, black and white, with a phrase strike before the one. Everything made sense now. The thief had entered early morning, between 4 and 6 a.m., during the quietest hours. He avoided all the alarms, used the shaft to drop down, wore thermal blocking cloths to dodge heat sensors, stayed above the laser grid by hanging from ropes, gently lifted the glass, took the painting, and climbed back the same way. all before sunrise. It was perfectly timed, perfectly silent, a flawless moon. Ryan now understood that this wasn't a theft. This was something he knew the entire system. Someone with the knowledge of every sensor, every gap, every shift in guard timings. 2 days passed with no leads. Then, at the museum front desk, a plain envelope arrived. No name, no stamp, no handwriting. Inside was a folded paper, a hand drawn map, and other small message. The map pointed to a location on the edge of the city. It was an old art storage building once used by the museum, and now empty and dusty. Ryan and his team reached the building quietly. Inside, they found a large wooden plate beneath the thick grey trap. They opened it. Inside was the painting, The Eternal Sky. It looked the same frame, same colors, same soft blue sky, not a scratch, not a single pole. Everyone around seemed revealed. The museum team cheered. Mr. Pons called it a miracle. News reporters wrote stories of recovery. But Ryan didn't celebrate. Something felt wrong. He moved closer to the canvas and studied the upper sky, the part, the light blue shade, the paint. Old pigments always had natural unevenness. This blue had gone. It was perfectly flat. Ryan had the painting sent to a lab for testing. Under the microscope, the results confirmed this doubt. In the 1700s, artists used natural lapis lazuli, a blue stone crushed by hand and mixed with oil. It had texture, grains, and small impurities, signs of age and craft. But the blue in this painting was synthetic ultramarine invented later in the 1800s. It was cleaner, more even, mass produced by modern factories. That meant the written painting was not real. It was a copy, a high level fake, not cheap or simple, but not original too. Ryan knew the real painting had to be close. The fake one was left as a trap, a way to calm people and buy more time. He returned to the museum and climbed into the air shaft again. He scanned the floor under the vent, tapping the tiles. One tile made a hollow sound. Ryan lifted it carefully. Below was a square compartment, hidden and heat-proof. Inside was a sealed pouch, and inside the pouch was the real eternal sky, the original. The texture, the grains, the slight brushstroke errors, everything matched. The painting had never left the museum's hall. It had been hidden nearby while the fake one was placed elsewhere to confuse the investigation. Ryan still had one final lead to follow. He returned to the white car left at the crime scene. He examines its paper under the microscope. The fiber mix was unusual, a type only made by one specialty printing press in the city. Ryan visited the press. The owner recognized the paper immediately. Only one person had bought that kind, a quiet man who paid in cash, came in rarely, and never gave name. But the owner remembered one small thing. The man rode a bicycle with a scratched lightning bolt sticker on its side mirror. The detail was enough. Ryan pulled up traffic footage from cameras near the museum, checking for bikes that matched. Eventually, he found it, a black bicycle moving slowly past the east side of the building the night before the theft. The video trial led to a quiet art studio near the city's industrial edge. Ryan entered. Inside were climbing ropes, chemical pigment samples, extract blueprints of museum security system, and a sealed envelope with a name, Henry Cross. Years ago, Henry Cross had designed the museum security system. He had warned the board about weaknesses in ventilation, sensor timing, and backup power lines, but his reports were ignored. Later, he was quietly let go, considered too cautious, too negative, and too suspicious. Henry had not stole the painting for profit. He showed that the system could be broken by someone who understood it. He built the system, then bet it. He created a perfect fake, returned it, and hid the real painting just under everyone's feet. All the brooded, even the most trusted walls had cracks. The museum placed the real painting back in its case. The painting now hung silently behind a glass, watched over by upgraded system and wiser eyes. Visitors walked past it once again, admiring the calm blue sky and golden hills. Unaware of the secrets it had briefly hidden, the museum returned to its peaceful routine: polished floors, soft footsteps, quiet chatter. The panic had passed, the mystery was solved, and the city moved on. Though somewhere out there, the mind behind Phantom still watched, clever, silent, and always one step ahead.